While my daughter was fighting a fever in the ICU, the family chat was silent. Then out of nowhere, my mom messaged, "Your brother could really use $7,000 for his honeymoon. You're doing well, right?" I said nothing. I just cut her off. The next day my dad called 6 times. On the 7th I answered and heard. It was 3 in the morning when I first saw the numbers on the thermometer. 104.7. My daughter Lily was shaking, half conscious, whispering things that didn't make sense. I rushed her to the ER barefoot, no jacket, just a sweatshirt I had thrown over my pajamas. They took her straight into pediatric ICU. I signed forms with shaking hands while nurses spoke in clipped terms I couldn't fully process. That was the start of the worst week of my life. I remember the smell of antiseptic, the low beeps of machines, and the way the doctors didn't meet my eyes when they explained what a systemic infection could do to a child her age. I sat beside Lily's hospital bed, watching her tiny chest rise and fall, waiting for improvement that came in fractions. Hours blurred into days. What kept echoing in my mind, though, was the silence. I had told my family everything. I texted them from the hospital hallway. I even posted in the family group chat. No one replied. Not even a thumbs up. These were the same people I had taken off work for when they got sick. The same ones I had driven to appointments, bailed out financially, and dropped everything for. When my brother got kidney stones, I brought him smoothies for a week. When my mom had her hysterectomy, I slept on her couch for 3 nights straight to help with meals and meds. And now, when my daughter was fighting a fever that might steal her from me, they said nothing. No, actually, that's not true. 4 days into Lily's ICU stay, my phone buzzed. It was the family chat. I opened it so fast I dropped my charger. My eyes darted to the new message. It was from my mom. "Hey Em, your brother could really use $7,000 for his honeymoon. You're doing well, right?" That was it. No "how's Lily?" No "we're praying for her." Just a money request. $7,000. For a honeymoon. I stared at the screen like it was in another language. I didn't reply. I didn't even read it again. I left it on read and closed the app. Then I opened my phone settings, scrolled down to contacts and hit block. First mom, then dad, then my brother. I didn't say a word. I just cut them off. The next morning, while I was spoon-feeding Lily ice chips and listening to a nurse explain how long recovery might take, my phone buzzed again. Missed call. Dead. 2 minutes later, another. And another. 6 missed calls by noon. On the 7th I picked up. His voice came through sharp and irritated. "You think you're better than us now?" I stood in that hallway between vending machines, holding the phone in one hand and pressing the other against my temple. I didn't say a thing. "You're seriously ignoring your own mother over a text? You're blowing this out of proportion. That's your brother. We're family. Don't forget where you came from." I hung up. I didn't say a single word. And that was the moment everything changed. They thought I'd bend eventually, that I'd soften. They didn't realize something in me had snapped. And once it did, there was no going back. What they didn't know yet was that I had receipts. Literal and metaphorical. Years of being their fallback. Their emergency contact. Their free therapist, their babysitter, their emotional sponge. All of it. And now I had nothing left for them. Just silence. The same silence they gave me when Lily was hanging by a thread. And they were about to learn what that really meant. Lily pulled through. It took 9 days in ICU, 2 in the step-down unit, and a full week at home before she could walk without wobbling. She lost weight, slept in fits, and clung to me like she thought I might vanish if she let go. While she healed, I stayed quiet. I didn't respond to the 4 new email chains from mom titled, "We need to talk." I didn't answer my brother's Venmo request for, just $3K then if 7 is too much. I didn't read the voicemails from my dad, though one transcription caught my eye. "You can't just abandon your family because you're in a mood." I didn't delete it. I took a screenshot. The funny thing about backing away is that it makes people panic. Especially when you were their yes person. I had been the return policy on their bad decisions. When my brother maxed out his credit card on crypto, I paid off the last $900. When my mom got scammed buying a fake concert ticket from Facebook Marketplace, I called the seller, pretended to be a lawyer, and got her refund. I even paid my dad's property tax once because the bank was being ridiculous. They called me selfless. They said I was a lifesaver. And now I was the villain. Unreasonable. They didn't call to ask about Lily. Not once. No flowers. No card. Not even a knock at the door. Just anger that I wouldn't serve them anymore. That's when I started sorting the receipts. Literally, bank statements, emails, chat logs. I built a folder titled, "For When They Claim I Was Never There." Not because I planned to use it, but because I wanted to remind myself. There's a dangerous thing that happens when you grow up being useful. You start to believe that usefulness is love. That being needed is the same as being cared for. I used to think if I gave enough, they'd see me. Now I knew better. Lily asked one night why Nana didn't come see her. I said Nana was busy. She didn't ask again. A week later, my parents stopped trying to contact me directly. But the message came in a different way. A mutual friend, Heather, sent me a screenshot. It was from my mom's Facebook. A public post. Some daughters forget their family once they start making money. I pray they remember who raised them before it's too late. The comments were full of relatives I hadn't seen in years saying things like, wow, and he kids these days. I didn't comment. I just sent a link to my lawyer. We had set up a revocable trust last year for Lily. I moved my assets into it the following week. I made sure no one but her would ever touch a cent of what I earned. I changed my will. I changed my emergency contacts. I changed everything. I was done being their plan B. They just didn't know it yet. 3 months passed. Lily was back in school, healthy, laughing again, drawing space whales and glitter robots like nothing had happened. But I wasn't the same. Something in me had shifted. I stopped checking my phone first thing in the morning. I stopped feeling guilty when I ignored a message. The quiet became peaceful. Then came the wedding. My brother's wedding was in late spring. Destination, of course. A lakefront venue in Michigan with rustic chic vibes, and a weekend itinerary that included paddleboard yoga. I only found out because a cousin tagged him in a post. I wasn't invited. Not that I expected to be. What caught my attention was the GoFundMe. Help make our dream honeymoon come true. After putting so much into our big day, we're asking friends and family to pitch in for a once-in-a-lifetime trip to Bali. The goal was $9,000. They had already raised $4,000. My mom was the top donor. My dad's name was on there too. And then I saw it, one of the comments. Emily, you better be contributing. You make 6 figures, girl. Another cousin. Laughing emoji included. I didn't reply. I contributed 1 cent. I labeled it reimbursement. They removed it the next day, but the point was made. The next morning my dad called again. I answered this time. What the hell is wrong with you? I didn't ask what he meant. He went on for 3 minutes straight. Something about how I was letting money ruin the family. How he heard I made a scene online. How mom cried when she saw my donation. How embarrassing it was that people were asking why the older sister wasn't at the wedding. Then came the part that surprised me. He said mom had slipped on ice the day before. Cracked her wrist. Needed surgery. They didn't have the funds right now. Insurance was being a pain. They were hoping I could help float them for a bit. Just a few thousand. I asked if she was okay. He said, she will be. But she's stressed. We're all stressed. You could make this go away. I said I hoped she healed quickly. Then I hung up. It took him 5 minutes to call back. I blocked him. 2 days later I got an email from my brother. No subject. 1 line. You're a selfish bitch. You don't deserve a family. I didn't reply. But I saved it. That was when I made the decision. No more silence. No more slow fades. I was going to make sure there was no confusion about where we stood. I wasn't going to be their ghost anymore, lurking at the edge of their lives, silently enduring their entitlement. They had forgotten who I was before I became useful. Now they were going to remember. Not with words. With absence. With consequence. With the kind of cold that doesn't thaw. It was mid-July when the letter arrived. A real one. Envelope. Zip. My name handwritten on the front. I almost didn't open it. Thought it might be some passive-aggressive plea wrapped in a Bible verse. But it wasn't from my parents. It was from my aunt, Dad's sister, Karen. I hadn't spoken to her in over a year. She lived in Arizona, always kept out of the family drama. She and I used to exchange Christmas cards, occasionally emailed each other cat memes. She was the quiet one at gatherings, the one who never asked for anything. Inside the envelope was a short note. Just a few lines. Hey Em. Thought you should know what's going on back here. You didn't hear it from me. There was a folded paper underneath. It was a printed email. From my mom. Forwarded. Subject line, we have to talk to Emily. Seriously. The message was long. A full plea to the rest of the family to stage an intervention, because I was ruining the family's future by refusing to help when she's the only one who can. She listed reasons. She claimed my brother was barely hanging on financially, that their retirement was in jeopardy, that my behavior was concerning. She wrote that I might be mentally unstable, and suggested maybe they should consider legal action for financial abandonment. That part made me laugh. Then I saw the attachments, screenshots, of my LinkedIn profile, of old texts where I had sent money, made travel plans, covered their emergencies. She had saved it all. Not to remember my kindness. To build a case. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even surprised. I was curious. Because I hadn't told anyone this yet, but a month earlier I had changed jobs. Quietly. Left my tech firm, joined a smaller startup. Took a lower salary, more stock options, fewer public-facing roles. My LinkedIn was outdated on purpose. I'd also moved some of my money. Shifted savings into accounts under Lily's name, set up through custodial trusts. Harder to trace. Harder to touch. They thought they knew where my money was. They didn't know anything. I texted Karen. Just said thanks. Then I opened a folder on my laptop called the exit plan. I'd been building it for weeks. A will revised. A financial breakdown. A long letter to Lily for when she turns 18. But there was something I hadn't done yet. Something final. So I opened a blank email. To Mom, Dad, Jake. Subject, nothing. I kept it short. I see now I was never family. I was just funding it. You've made it clear who you are. Let me be clear who I am now. You will receive nothing. Not now. Not ever. Consider this permanent. I attached a PDF. It was my own list. Every dollar. Every flight. Every favor. Every night I showed up, sat at a hospital, covered a bill, held someone's hand while mine shook. I titled it, Return Not Required. Then I hit send. And that was when I knew what real peace felt like. Of course, I didn't expect what happened next. Because 6 days later I got a call from a blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. The message was 5 words. Dad's been arrested. Call me. The voice wasn't familiar. And the twist was only just beginning. I played that voicemail 3 times. The voice was clipped, male, older. Definitely not my brother, not my dad. I didn't call back. I waited. 3 hours later the news hit my inbox. A Google alert. My dad's name linked to a local article. Something about a fraud investigation. I clicked so fast I almost dropped my coffee. Turns out my father had been running a fake consulting business. Taking deposits from small companies for work he never intended to do. The article said there were 6 victims so far, one of them a church. He'd been arrested on charges of wire fraud and misrepresentation. They found fake invoices, shell accounts, paper trails. He had been using my name. That part hit like a punch. He'd claimed I was his partner. Even listed me on a fake company bio page as director of finance. My old photo copied from LinkedIn. My fake credentials embellished. All those times he'd asked me how things worked in startups, or what contracts usually look like, under the guise of casual conversation. It hadn't been small talk. He'd been building a cover. I didn't call anyone. Instead I called a lawyer. A real one this time. Not for estate planning. For criminal defense support. We drafted a formal statement. Filed a cease and desist. Then I emailed the church he defrauded, explained everything, attached legal letters and wished them luck. I thought maybe, just maybe, that would be the end of it. But then my brother showed up. Not figuratively. Literally. At my door. I don't know how he found my new address. Probably Karen. He always meant well. I opened the door just enough to see his face. Sweaty. He looked thinner than I remembered. Wedding ring still on. He didn't say hello. He said, they're going to lose the house. I blinked. They put it up as collateral, he went on. Mom didn't tell you. Dad used it to get a private loan last year. Now they're calling it in. I stood there. He stared at me like I was his last card in a very bad game of poker. I know we messed up, he said. But this is different. You're not gonna let Mom end up on the street. It was the way he said it. Not a question. A statement. Like of course I'd help. Like that was still who I was. I didn't answer. I just stepped back and closed the door. He stayed there for a few seconds. I watched through the peephole as he stood on my porch, looked around and muttered something. Then he left. The next day I got a voicemail from my mom. She didn't cry. She threatened. Said if I didn't help she'd go to the press. Tell them I was complicit. That I knew about Dad's scheme. That I was in on it. That I'd benefited from it. She even said she'd sue for emotional damages. It was the most desperate thing I'd ever heard. So I did something cold. I sent her my lawyer's contact. And a screenshot of the trust. Then I wrote 2 words, good luck. It took her 2 hours to email me back. All caps. Paragraphs of rage. Accusations. Some biblical quote about forgiveness. I archived it. And I went to check on Lily, who was in the living room building a pillow fort. She looked up and smiled. The family I chose. The only one that mattered. And the storm I'd left behind was finally burning itself out. Only one part was left now. The part where they realized this wasn't exile. This was extinction. The foreclosure notice came through public records 2 weeks later. I didn't go looking. Someone from Karen's church group emailed me a link. My parents' house, 3-bedroom colonial gray siding, the one I grew up in, was going to auction in 21 days. It had been in the family since 1992. They were losing it, and I felt nothing. Not guilt. Not satisfaction. Just nothing. Like a door finally closing in a house I no longer visited with people I no longer recognized. Lily had a playdate that day. I drove her across town, dropped her off, and sat in the car for a few minutes, scrolling through old photos. Not of my parents. Of my daughter in that house. Baking cookies with grandma, sliding down the staircase in a sleeping bag, learning how to ride a bike in the driveway while dad held the seat. But those were illusions. Versions of people I had invented in my head. Because the truth was, when things got hard, when the panic set in, their first thought wasn't about family. It was about who could be used. And when I stopped being useful, they showed me what I really was to them. I hadn't heard from them since the threats. Not even after my lawyer sent a final notice, detailing every false claim, every fake business record, every legal step I was prepared to take if they so much as said my name publicly again. They went quiet. Until one night, Lily was already asleep and I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was a picture of my childhood room. No caption. No context. Just hardwood floors and sunlight coming through the curtains I hadn't seen in years. It didn't take a genius to guess who sent it. A few hours later, another message. From a different number. Probably a burner account. Hope it was worth it. That was the last I ever heard from them. The auction went forward. Dad got sentenced 6 months later. 18 months probation, some community service, restitution to the victims. His mugshot was online for a while. Mom moved in with a cousin upstate. Jake and his wife filed for bankruptcy and divorced quietly. The honeymoon he crowdfunded never happened. The family chat. Silent since spring. Karen and I still talk sometimes. She sends Lily postcards. We keep it light. I never told my daughter everything. Just enough. That not all family is forever. That people show you who they are when you stop doing things for them. That we can forgive without reopening the door. She's doing great now. Her fever never came back. She's learning piano, into astronomy, wants to be an inventor who builds machines that help sick kids. I told her I think she already saved one. We live simply. Just the two of us. Quiet mornings. Warm dinners. A home filled with softness and no expectations of repayment. And in that silence where my parents used to live, there's no anger anymore. Just space. Exactly the size of a past I've finally left behind.